So I've been through a lot, and then I came to a point where I had it all. I had this illusion of success that we have been taught. So I had a great job, I had a great income, I bought my own house. Even though I was a single mom, I was able to buy my own house. Had an amazing car. We went on, my son and I, we went on holidays like 3 times a week. We were living the life. We were living the dream, right? This was the life I've always dreamed of. And then I remember I just had one of these days, you know, I woke up and I was running late and I had to get my son ready, but he wasn't feeling well. And then I had to bring him to daycare, stuck in traffic. You know, just one of those days. I had a really tough day at work, came home, it was raining, it was late, and then I got him to bed eventually, and I sat there on my couch, and I used to smoke. So I had a cigarette in one hand, and I will never forget that day. I had a cigarette in one hand and a glass of wine in the other. And I was just, I just relaxed on the sofa, and I looked around and I saw this beautiful home I made, and I said it out loud. I was like, wow, it turned out wonderful, didn't it? Silence. And then I just realized that I was on my own. I was lonely. Like I was working so hard to achieve a goal that turned out not to be fulfilling at all.
Wow.
So that moment, I just spiraled into a very bad, dark depression and burnout. And I ended up in therapy, and my therapist told me, like, you know what you should do? Take your kid, go to Suriname for like 4 to 5 weeks, stay with your mom, let her help you, and then just breathe, get out of the environment.
Hello guys, and welcome back again to another amazing episode. And this is the Diaspora Transition episode, where we speak with diasporans who decided to leave the diaspora and currently living here or even moving back and forth. We do have dialogue with them, ask them, listen, why you decided to leave a so-called promised land to a place called Africa, where you know the stereotype of Africa. We sit down with them, we ask them how's living here like. So today we do have someone very special. She's of origin Suriname, okay, and she grew up in the Netherlands, Holland,
Yes.
right? And she grew up in Holland, and you know, at one point in her career, she decided to embark on a journey to Africa. She first went to Suriname, and currently here in Ghana. So she's a therapist. Listen, her accolades is amazing. I don't want to butcher her accolades, so she's going to do that better than I could. So without further ado, Charlene, welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for having you. People are watching you. They might not have seen you before. Briefly introduce yourself to the people watching you for the first time.
Okay, well, my name is Charlene. I am a transformational mentor. And then you'll be asking, what is a transformational mentor? Yeah. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
As a transformation, I don't like the word business coach because, yeah, I do work with female entrepreneurs and female business owners, but I do not work on the business strategies per se, but I like to use the personal leadership strategies to grow and develop your personal and professional life.
I like that.
Yeah.
And what brought you to Ghana?
So as a transformational mentor, one of my mentees moved here, I think 2.5 years ago. And Ghana has been on my list for years. So her coming here, I think that was a sign for me. It's time.
Now, you did mention a story about the epiphany you had about even Ghana. Let's just go back a little bit. You did went to Suriname.
Yes. Yes.
From Holland, and it was a little sticky. Let's just go back to the point where you felt like the Holland is not for me anymore, and then embarking on a journey, following your roots back to Suriname, but ended up leaving again, and then going back to Holland and then Ghana. Let's just go back a little bit on that. Before that moment of feeling that I have to leave Holland, how was that like?
Well, I was, so I've been through a lot. And then I came to a point where I had it all. I had this illusion of success that we have been taught. So I had a great job, I had a great income, I bought my own house. Even though I was a single mom, I was able to buy my own house. Had an amazing car. We went on, my son and I, we went on holidays like 3 times a week. We were living the life. We were living the dream, right? This was the life I've always dreamed of. And then I remember I just had one of these days, you know, I woke up and I was running late and I had to get my son ready, but he wasn't feeling well. And then I had to bring him to daycare, stuck in traffic. You know, just one of those days. I had a really tough day at work. Came home, it was raining, it was late, and then I got him to bed eventually. And I sat there on my couch, and I used to smoke. So I had a cigarette in one hand, and I will never forget that day. I had a cigarette in one hand and a glass of wine in the other. And I was just, I just relaxed on the sofa, and I looked around and I saw this beautiful home I made, and I said it out loud. I was like, wow, it turned out wonderful, didn't it? Silence. And then I just realized that I was on my own. I was lonely. Like I was working so hard to achieve a goal that turned out not to be fulfilling at all.
Wow.
So that moment, I just spiraled into a very bad, dark depression and burnout. And I ended up in therapy, and my therapist told me, like, you know what you should do? Take your kid, go to Suriname for like 4 to 5 weeks, stay with your mom, let her help you, and then just breathe, get out of the environment. And I got there.
Wow.
That's how I got there in the first place. So it was supposed to be a holiday. And the moment I just touched ground there, like everything fell off.
Wow. What is everything?
Like the whole weight, the whole pressure of keeping up appearances, of having to be perfect, to make sure that you're not the angry black woman, to make sure that, yeah, you might be, no, that you're not the stereotypical black single mom, but you're like accomplishing something, right? All of this weight, all of this, the racism, the doing it all by yourself, having to be the strong woman, not showing your vulnerability, it just all fell off.
Wow. But when you touched down in Suriname?
Yes.
Wow.
So I've been there for 5 weeks. And then the week before I had to go back, the anxiety came back, because I just knew that this was just temporarily, right? And then I sat in my room crying, and all of a sudden it was as if somebody was speaking to me, like, what are you doing? What are you even doing? Why are you going back? Why do you want to live this life? Is this really the dream?
Wow.
And I thought, no, I have nothing to lose. So I went back, I sold my house.
What?
I sold my house. I sold my car. I quit my job. I sold everything I owned.
That you've worked for?
Yes.
Everything?
Yes.
Wow.
Because I realized it wasn't fulfilling. It was a burden.
Wow.
It was this mask, this illusion that I thought that was success. That I thought that was what success meant. And I just sold everything. I took my son and we left.
Wow. Just like that?
Yeah, just like that.
How fast did this happen over a period?
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yes.
After returning from Suriname?
Yes. Let me see. Okay, no. Maybe 3 months. Two and a half months.
Wow.
Something like that.
Wow.
Yes. But it all, you know, when something is meant to be, it flows. So it went, it just flowed. Like I could sell the house, I could sell the car, like.
Now someone would ask, why didn't you choose to live in Suriname? Because that's where your heritage is from.
Yes.
Why didn't you choose Suriname, but Ghana?
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I've lived in Suriname for 5 years. So I sold everything. I went to Suriname. I've lived there for 5 years. And I realized that, that's where my healing journey started. And that's where also this career switch, the career change. Is it the career switch?
Yeah, change.
Change, yeah? Okay, so English is my third language, okay? So bear with me. So that's where the career change started. So I started with my own healing journey, and then I had epiphany after epiphany. And then I realized that we as women of color in the diaspora are facing so many challenges daily, and not even being aware of the fact that generational trauma is rooted in these challenges we face.
Can we speak a little bit more on that?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people saying that, from me interviewing people, that a lot of diasporans have a lot of trauma when moving back here to the continent.
Yes.
And they don't even know that they have trauma. Let's speak on that a little bit.
Yeah,
Being
sure.
you had a fair share of your experience with that. Speak as a woman of color who've lived this both lives. And how, just explain that to me a little bit. How the trauma and develops, where it's coming from. Is it the DNA? Is it your ancestors? Like, really educate me on that. I want to.
So, as we spoke before the interview, right? And I told you about my experience at Cape Coast. And what we do not realize is that slavery was terrible, of course. But the trauma that was left behind, we should ask ourselves, are we really free? Like, slavery is over, but are we really free? Because this pain, just only looking at Suriname, the whole country is built on pain. Like, there was this piece of land where the natives lived, and the Dutch came, brought the people from Africa, brought our ancestors to a foreign place. No, they first entered Suriname, and then they tried to enslave the natives there. Found out they were physically not strong enough to do the labor they wanted to do. So then they brought the people from Ghana to Suriname. After that, after slavery ended, now they started to bring people from other colonies, from Indonesia, from India, from China, which weren't colonies from the Dutch, but they brought them in with this lie that they would have a better life in the new world, right? Coming there, it was all slavery for all of these people, leaving their homes, leaving their lives, thinking they would come to live a better life, but ending up there, they were scammed. They were scammed, and they even did that to their own Dutch people.
Really?
Yes.
They enslaved Dutch too?
No, they didn't enslave them. They told them, like, yeah, you are farmers, right? You should come to Suriname because, like, you have a lot of opportunities there. You get land, and then the people came because, yeah, their own people told them to come. Coming there and just left there.
Wow.
There were diseases there. You have malaria, for example, right? There is this heat they are not used to. So the vegetation is different. You can be a farmer, but everything is different in Suriname, right? So everybody the Dutch people just brought everybody there from all over the world and actually just abandoned them. So Suriname is a very mixed race country. So as you can see, I don't look African. I do have African ancestors, but I'm a mix of native of white, of Indonesian, of Indian, of I'm mixed. And most of the people are mixed in Suriname. Because we live together. I think Suriname is one of the only places in the world where you have a mosque and a synagogue next to each other. They share a parking space. There's peace. There's peace.
Interesting.
So yeah, and but the foundation of Suriname is pain. Is rooted in pain. It's a beautiful country, but it's rooted in pain, and we tend to forget that. So you see that in the way the children, in the upbringing, they create followers. We don't want to hear about your sorries. We don't want to hear about your failures. You'll get punished if you make a mistake. If you don't act the way I want you to act, it will have consequences.
Did you experience this as a child at your home?
Yes, I did. I did, yes. So you cannot express how you feel. When I say you go to your room, you go to your room, right? And why are you crying? You're not weak. Why are you crying? I didn't raise a weak person.
Yeah.
Yes.
You wanted to swear on that one.
So, no, but we're laughing about this, but we have been taught to ignore our emotions, our feelings from a young age. And it's not because our parents don't love us. That's what we have been taught. Could you express, can you imagine the extreme situations our ancestors lived in? Do you think there was room to cry? Do you think there was room to be sad? Do you think there was room to make a mistake? There was no room. There was no room for that.
Wow.
You would get killed.
And this happened generation and generation and generation.
Of course. And now you see all those funny TikToks, right? Of the Caribbean people, like all over the Caribbean. And I even think Afro-Americans, they have similar things, and they'll be talking about the slipper. Like that's some of the things, like the Caribbean moms always have a slipper to throw at you or whatever. Like it's funny because it's relatable, but is it really funny if you think of it? If you think about it, is it really funny? Is it really funny that everybody's like, oh yeah, and I got an ass whooping growing up, and oh, my mom would never allow me to do that because she would really beat me up. And we can all relate. But as a grown person on a healing journey, thinking about that, is it really funny?
Do you think that discipline given to children at that time was good or bad, in your own opinion? Not in the trauma.
No. I hear a lot of people talking about my dad or my mom would whoop me with a belt.
Yeah.
Now tell me, where did that come from? Who?
It ties down to slavery?
Of course. Of course. And I know a lot of people will be like, yeah, but I grew up fine. Did you though? Did you though? Yeah, well, I'm successful. I have a good job. I have kids. They're fine. I'm okay. I'm not crying about it. Okay, but are you really fine? If you don't have to answer me, but look at yourself in the mirror. Are you really happy? Are you? Are you fulfilled? Are you living a life that is fulfilling? Or is your success rooted in a fear of failure?
I see. How do people begin to realize that, and not just that, but the trauma within that has been building within them, to be able to escape from that kind of mindset, that kind of way of life into so-called, a better life?
Yeah. Self-awareness. Self-awareness. Like, I had this talk with a lady a couple of weeks ago here, and she said, yeah, well, I realized that everywhere I went, every time I talked to someone, or every time I worked with someone, there's always conflict. And then I would quit my job, or I would stop the partnership, and I would move on. But it happened over and over again, until I realized I might be the problem.
Interesting.
And yes, that's
And it's something, it's very difficult for people to own up to that.
Yes.
To say, this is my fault.
Of course, of course. So, self-awareness, that is the key to, and not only self-awareness, but taking full responsibility of your life. Because you might not be happy right now, or in your relationship, or in your business, but what is your part in that? What is your part?
It's always
in
the
that?
man's fault. I'm just joking.
No, but really, what is your part in that? What can you do? Because the situation is the way it is, because you allow it to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. How did you, I mean, going on a holiday in Suriname developed into you living there?
Yes.
How did that contribute to your own sanity, stability, mental health, and to your self-awareness? What was that journey like? What were some practices that you did differently from what you've done in Europe that really turned you down into a different trajectory, talking about even career change? Because what were you doing in Holland again?
So I was a maintenance and repair manager in the port of Rotterdam. So I was leading a team of men that were repairing and sea containers, the really big containers you put on the big ships. And then I went to Suriname, and then I decided on the plane there, I'm never going to do anything again that I don't like. From now on, I will only do what I really like to do. And I loved cooking. So it started with having friends over and making these big high teas, organizing them, making snacks. And so I started with a catering service, actually. I was the first with a full vegan catering service in Suriname, yes. I had an own brunch and an own brunch bar, so breakfast and lunch. And at the same time, I was busy healing. I was busy with developing myself on a spiritual and energetic level, and later also a mental level, like really diving into the mental health, the psychology. So yeah, and that's where I realized when I started to heal myself, I was like, everybody needs to know this. Wow. Everybody needs to realize this, because you can create your own reality. But we really have to wake up. We really have to wake up.
Wow.
And that's where freedom lies. It's not because slavery ended that we're free, because we still live in that mindset.
Interesting. Very interesting.
We still carry the DNA. You know that even our DNA is marked with the trauma of our ancestors?
I heard that. Let's speak on that a little bit. People don't believe that is true.
Yeah, well, it is. Like, study shows.
How do you find that? How did they discover that trauma was piled up in our DNA?
Well, they discovered that with the Holocaust survivors. Saw that the Holocaust survivors, that their children and even grandchildren had extreme responses or reactions to the pain their ancestors went through. So then they started to study that, and then they saw that there were markers caused by trauma in the expression of the genes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Let's move a little bit from Suriname. You were there for 5 years?
Yes.
And now you're here in Ghana.
Yes.
You know, you've been through a journey.
Yes.
Right? You say you had an epiphany sitting in your sofa, your home. Fast forward, you spent 5 years in Suriname.
Yes.
What made you want to leave Suriname? Let's just speak on that and come back to Ghana. What kicked you out of Suriname?
Well, the financial situation in the country caused it to become dangerous.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the financial crisis just hit hard, very fast.
By the economy?
Very, very extreme. And when people get hungry, you're no longer safe. So I was visited by armed robbers.
You were visited?
Yes, I would say it very nicely.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yes, by armed robbers.
Wow.
Around noon.
In the afternoon?
Yes.
How?
It was 12:30 in the afternoon.
Really?
Yes, I was home with my baby daughter and I heard something. I was on the phone with my brother-in-law and I heard something and I said to him, oh, but I think it was a week prior to that happening. They stole our gas cylinder, I think you call it, right? You have them here too? And they stole it. So I thought, oh, maybe it's another one trying to steal that. So I walked out and there they were, like two guys.
With guns?
Yeah, trying to get in. Because we have like this, you have it here
CCTV.
too, right? No, the how do you say that?
The burglar proof, the metal.
Yeah, the
thing.
metal,
Yeah.
the metal.
Yeah.
How do you say that?
Burglar proof.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have it there too. So I walked out, and then he was staring me dead in the eye, and I could tell like it was not a beggar from the street. This guy was dressed very nicely. They were both dressed very nicely, very like you would see them in the nightclub and wouldn't think this was their profession.
Interesting.
And he saw me, he saw my baby, and he was just cold, ice cold. Like you could just tell that he wasn't touched, like emotionally, not whatsoever, no empathy whatsoever. He came on a mission and later on, the police told me like they were there during daytime, unmasked, which means that, and this was a whole setup because they had
like a getaway,
car.
Yeah.
So they had a getaway car. There was somebody else on the lookout. Later on I realized. So this was a whole setup operation. And it was never their intention was for me. Their intention was for me to never talk about it again. Which means that...
That's crazy.
Yes. So if that happens during the weekday, at noon...
So how did you get out of that situation?
I started to lock up everything while shouting. And I don't know, like I was just safe that day because everyone around me was supposed to be at work. But one of my neighbors was free. He was free from work that day and he heard me and he jumped the fence.
Wow.
And that scared them. That's how I survived.
Wow.
But that was my cue to leave. Like, okay, if I'm not safe, there is no point. And if I'm not safe during the day in my own home, I will never sleep again. Because imagine if I wasn't paying attention or I was asleep, they would have been in the house and then it was over. It was over. So, yeah.
Wow.
That what really made me leave Suriname with a broken heart because I really loved it there. But I believe it was needed for me to move on. It was I needed that to move on.
You went through all these trials and tribulation. Yes. Your sanity was at stake at one point. You were able to embark on a journey to be able to come out of that. And now, like you just mentioned, you want to be able to not be selfish about it, but make everybody else, have that kind of freedom and sanity that you had and came out from. And not only that, to empower other women as well. And then you made a huge, event. I mean, it's the first time, but it was really successful where you brought a lot of women together.
Yes.
Right? And it was Empower Her. That's
Yes.
the title of the whole part. Let's speak on that. Why it became so necessary for you to be able to do this on the continent in Ghana specifically. Let's speak
Wow.
on that a little bit.
Yes, wow. For me, it was necessary, like everything has a meaning for me. So the Empower Her Summit was the first edition launched, and at the same time, it was the birth of the Mothers of Zion. And the Mothers of Zion is is a community for high achieving women. And as life started on the continent, what could be a better place to give birth to these to this new concept? So the Empower Her was the first event hosted by the Mothers of Zion.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So what was some of the things that was discussed, if you don't mind sharing some few
Yes.
nuggets that was discussed? What was your kind of pillar of focus for this event?
To bring women together, to bring powerful women together, because that's the whole focus of the Mothers of Zion. So let me explain the name, the Mothers of Zion. The Mother's archetype stands for the power we have as women to create. Give us a house, we'll make a home. Give us the ingredients, we'll make a meal. Give us an idea, we create a project. Like we have this power, this creativity by nature. The thing is, we have been taught this illusion of success and of what I just explained, that success based on the money you make, based on the status you have, which causes us to chase these things, to hunt, to hustle. But that tends to push us into our masculine energy. But the feminine energy is to receive and to create. So that's where the mothers stand for. And Zion is referred to as the promised land. So as a mother of Zion, it should remind you that you are able to create the promised land that you envision. To create your own reality. So the Empower Her event is to bring all of these powerful, high achieving women together to realize that you don't have to do it on your own. We are so much more powerful when we combine our strengths together, when we help to carry ourselves. They always say, like, as being a parent, it takes a village to raise a child. And that's also for all of your projects, for your business, for everything you do. It takes a village. Have your sisterhood, having your back. And maybe not even in business, but just the sisters that will call you up on days that you do not believe in yourself or that you doubt yourself, that they'll be the one. Be like, sis, get up. I believe in you. You don't believe in yourself, but I believe in you. Get up. Get out there. We're waiting for you. We're rooting for you. And that sisterhood is the key in growth, the key in real success, living a life of fulfillment.
Are men allowed to come?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
But the full focus is creating a safe space for these high achieving women to feel carried, if that makes sense, to feel cared for, because we are all rooting for each other there.
Let's speak a little bit further on you, even that you've done that, right? And you have plans on doing that again in next year.
Yes.
Right? And keep that going for a time.
Yes.
What I want to ask is, do you see yourself, you were in Suriname for 5 years, do you see yourself settle in here in Ghana? Is that a possibility you're considering?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yes, yes. So I thought I shared this experience with someone and I'll try to find the words to express myself. Coming to Suriname 10 years ago, moving to Suriname 11 years ago, was I felt at ease. I felt, as I mentioned earlier on, that like this weight was lifting off of my shoulders, because this whole narrative and this the appearances that you have to keep up in the Western world was gone. But coming to Ghana, that was next level. That was next level. That was coming home. Even more than it was in Suriname. It was so strange. I've never been to the continent before. But coming here, it made sense. I cannot explain it otherwise. Like when you visit your mom, you're at home, right? Like you can come to your own house and you're at home, but being at your mom's place, like that's where you can really
Relax.
be yourself. Like where you just feel this. As I said, I'm trying to find the words to
like,
explain.
So in Suriname, it's like you were living in your stepmom's house, and in Ghana, you're living in your biological mom's.
I love that. I love that. Yes, yes.
That's
yes,
how it felt. Like,
yes. It's so strange.
Wow.
But it's so, it makes sense in a way.
Your story is very inspirational on so many different levels.
Thank you.
And I know people watching might be inspired. If someone is watching, a woman is watching this right now and might be in that stage we were in, that sofa, what would you say to that person?
Be honest with yourself. You don't have to come clean to others. That's the next step. But be honest with yourself. How do you feel right now? Really feel. Sit with it and let all the emotions come out. Everything that you suppressed is the right word, right? Everything that you suppressed, let it come out. That's the first step. Sit with the emotions.
And think through.
Yes, yes. And then be honest with yourself. Are you really there where you want to be? Is this really the life that you really envisioned for yourself? And if not, how does your perfect life look like? And not how does it look like, but how do you feel in this perfect life?
Interesting.
Because it's the feeling that we are actually chasing. It's the feeling that we're longing for. It's not the money, it's not the car, it's the feeling it gives us.
Now I see a lot of people decide to leave the West, Europe and other places, sometimes track back to their land, but it doesn't not feel the same. And then they end up coming to Africa. Most people are going on that journey, but it's rather sad that with our ethnicity, it's hard trying to get our people to come to the continent. I made mention, I interviewed a man called Julius Garvey, which is the son of Marcus Garvey. And then I made mention, I told him that a lot of diasporans living in the diaspora is almost like gone, where mentally it's like they've given up on checking themselves, looking within to see if the environment that they are is where they want to be. It's just like they've been numb to everything and has condemned themselves that, okay, this is what I'm going to be till I pass out or I die. Without knowing the promised land, without knowing that there's a place called Africa to be able to embark on a journey where they can have a fresh slate to start all over again. And they've condemned themselves. They've given up on themselves. And because of that, they project negativity to say that I would rather stay here than to go to Africa. If someone is there right now and is watching you right now, what would you say?
If you have a room full of people, 100 people, they're sleeping, and the alarm clock goes off, everybody would wake up differently. You would have people that were up. The minute they hear the alarm clock, they're up, ready to go. Then you have people that would snooze. You would have people that would just turn over and ignore it. And you would even have people that wouldn't even wake up. everybody wakes up differently. So people with that mindset, I respect you. I see you. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody's waking up at their own time. And there'll come a time that they might wake up and maybe they won't. I'm here for the people that already woke up and are ready to grow, to make it better. And if you're not there yet, it's all good. Still love you.
I like that. I like it. What would you say as a message or a personal message to someone watching you who want to embark on the journey that you did embark on?
Follow me. Follow me. Join the Mothers of Zion. And I think you will share my links in the bio. So follow us, send a DM, and let us know that you're ready to roll, because the Mothers of Zion is not only in Ghana, it's an international community of high achieving women. The more the merrier. We need each other. We need you.
I like that. Now, guys, I'm going to leave everything in the description as well on the screen, so it's easier for you to contact her. Send 3 business advice. I'm sure you've identified business opportunities since you moved here. If you haven't, I'll be surprised. You have, isn't it?
And you want advice?
3
business advice.
Yeah, that you see, business ideas that you think would yield some profit or has the potential, so people, you know, trying to move back can actually capitalize on if they are interested.
Well, the first business advice, and that is not an opportunity, but that is an advice for like everyone wanting to start a business or has a business. Be self-aware. Make sure that you as a person are fulfilled, and then everything else will add into that. Like money, success, growth. It will all come as long as you as a person are fulfilled. So self-awareness is key. But as in business opportunities, what do I think? I think you can do a lot in agriculture. That is something that will always keep on going, and I think Ghana is a beautiful country with a lot of room for new opportunities. And then I'm talking about aquaponics, hydroponics, like other ways of sustainable agriculture. Yes. And the last one, I would say real estate.
Real estate.
Yes, I would still say real estate. I think there are a lot of people that are waking up. The alarm clock went off years ago, but people are waking up. People want to come here. People always need a place to stay, even if it's long term, if it's short term. Real estate, absolutely. Yes.
I like that. I like that. We're almost at the end of the conversation, guys. Where we are currently filming is called Bureau. Bureau is a co-working space located in the middle of Accra, Osu, next to Jamestown Cafe. You are moving from the diaspora, and that you still want a constant electric, stable Wi-Fi, no doomso, right? Nice environment, you get served coffee, no disturbances, soundproof, where you can actually have your online meetings without no, drivers horning and all those, inconveniences. The best place for you is Bureau. I'm going to leave the name on the screen and also in the description. Book a place and tell them you actually came from Webnation Africa. And yeah, so it's been a great conversation.
Thank you.
I'm very excited to have you on the show, and I know we can keep going with the conversation, but time may not permit us.
Sure.
If you have anything, last message for people watching, what would that message be? Yeah.
I think my message would be, especially for the women, that it's time to find your sisterhood. It's time to find a valuable community of powerful women, because I know we are all powerful. Find a community of powerful women that will help you to the next level. So join us in the Mothers of Zion.
I like that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's been an amazing one. If it's your first time, don't forget to like the video, share to friends and family, comment down below, and let's get the engagement going. And yeah, without further ado, let's say bye-bye to them, all right?
Thank you.
Peace
Bye-bye.
out. Bye.